Hi folks, I'm Zenith with Two Guys to Ride. Today Rob and I are down here in beautiful Des Moines, Iowa, and we're at the Concourse elegance, and we're here with some familiar faces. Well, we've talked with Dr. Craig before. You had a beautiful Packard in New Ulm.
Yes, I did. That was up to the point where my wife made me very much aware that it was her Packard.
Oh, and we've got her Packard again, and this is Deb.
Hi.
All right, so now that we've clarified who the Packards really belong to.
I'm glad you've done that, because I'm in deep trouble.
Hey, no, I was trying to help you out. That's all I can do. All right, so tell us, first of all, just what we have behind.
Okay, this is a 1934 Packard 12 Club Sedan model, and it's an 1107. And it was probably the pinnacle year for Packard was the 1934 12s. And so it is one of the most lovely Packards as far as its style and balance, and the 12 is all encompassing of a wonderful car.
Now this came in a couple of different styles, and there are basically three, right? Because the 1107 is actually just the
Club Sedan.
The Club Sedan. Okay, so what were the other styles that came in?
Okay, the 1108s had.
Well, the 1108s were the custom line, but the 1107s, you could get this in the limo, you can get it in the Roadster, you can get it in the Club Sedan. Okay. There was actually 7 different models you could get.
In the
1108s, all they did is that's where you had the Victorias, the Dietrichs. They would customize certain parts of the car.
Okay.
So then, and they're really the big luxury cars, because back in the day, this car, and this is a production car, still hand built, but this car back in the day, you were looking in 1934 for a car that was costing between $5,000 and $6,000.
Which is a steep price back then.
And a single family home back then was $1,400.
Okay, that puts it in perspective, yeah.
And it created a real problem for Packard, because it was right at almost the pinnacle, if you will, although it was starting to come down, which was the period of the Depression. So people riding down the street with all of the food lines, and the people were looking for work, and these people riding down the road in a $6,000 Packard, kind of, nose down. People were thumbing their nose at them, saying, "What are you doing?" And so Packard eventually developed the 120 and 110 line, which made a cheaper car that more people could buy, but it was still Packard quality throughout. Okay. But this was for the people that had a few extra dollars to spend.
If you want to check out their 41 Packard 120, click the link above. Let's move to the front, because there isn't a part of this car that isn't absolutely beautiful.
There are so many beautiful parts of the car. First, of course, you got the grille, and this grille is thermostatically controlled, and when you're driving, these fins will go vertical to allow it to cool down. You've got your pilot rays that turn with the steering wheel so that you can direct the light to see the direction you're going. Of course, you've got your horns here and your V's, and of course, they did a lot of artwork. It's a V12, so you've got V in the glass here and here. The theme was carried throughout.
So that's where it came from, was the V12. That's why they did that shape.
They enhanced the car, and of course this car is a senior Grand National winner in the Antique Automobile Club of America.
Which is no small feat.
Well, we have a lot of fun doing it, and we were very honored last year to receive a Zenith Award, which is one of AACA's
well, that's the top
awards.
Yeah. And if you've ever been through that process, it's knit and pick. I mean, it's bolt, washer, is this the correct screw head?
They do get a little picky, yes.
Very much so.
So if you got a car that's won that award, that speaks volumes for its restoration and quality.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah, go ahead.
Now, I love the Swan.
The Cormorant.
Yeah,
the Cormorant.
It's a Cormorant.
People will call a Pelican or a Swan, but the Packard newsletter is called the Cormorant.
Well, I'm glad I didn't say I like that penguin then.
Well, that could have been. It would have worked out. Yeah, or the buzzer.
Hey, it's beautiful no matter what it is, right?
That is very nice sculpture.
All that Art Deco stuff, I mean, it's just stunning. I love the swivel lights up here.
Yeah, they're called pilot rays, and we got nice and straight here, so they're straight. Sometimes Craig doesn't turn the wheel exactly straight when he parks it, and it's at an angle. And
Now
they
you
said,
know
"Oh,
why it's her
what?
car."
Wow.
They're not straight. What's wrong with your lights? I said, no, they are supposed to move. They move with the steering. So,
But that's it, because we often think of that. I have that on a 24 Lincoln.
yeah.
And I love it. But to see it here it is back in 1934.
And you think Lincoln had something new.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. That's my point.
Now-
I mean, this stuff has been around forever.
As we're moving around the car, one other thing to bring your attention to, in the 34s, are these knobs on the end
Of the front and the rear bumpers.
And those are actually harmonizers to take any frame vibrations out. And they are oil-filled lead weights on springs. So if there's
Really?
any vibration, it takes
bounces
that
and
out.
It keeps it smooth.
So that keeps the minimum amount of road noise, if you will, out of the vehicle. And then we'll show you something else in the engine bay that also complements that.
So does it work?
Oh yeah. I
Well-
mean, this is a very smooth ride.
Yeah,
You know,
I haven't like with the 41 120 convertible, it's great for duck hunting. I haven't gotten this one out of the field to do that yet. But considering this car weighs 6,000 pounds, it rides pretty quiet and pretty smooth.
All right, well, let's take a look at this magnificent engine that's under here.
Yes.
All right, so Deb, tell us all about this.
Okay, this is your V12. You got 6 cylinders on this side, 6 on the other side. You have your coils up front, a coil for each bank of cylinders, distributor, your generator with a
Vent. Supposed
Vent.
to be heat vent?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Heat vent.
In this corner, you have your Bijur oiling system, and that gets back to the comfort that Packard want to provide for its customers. That oils 22 points on the chassis so that there's no squeaks or noises.
So that oils and lubricates as it drives.
Right.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, it's vacuum driven.
Vacuum driven,
And
exactly.
one of the things that they, when we acquired this car, our friends told us that when you get a V12, you have to understand that you're going to have a V12, and a couple months later, you're going to have a bit of an oil field under the car, because you get the drippage
It drips.
with it. But that just happens.
Well, I think that was just the engineer's way of saying no one now is going to call us and say, is the system pumping oil?
That's right.
Yes.
That's
Well, they
right.
always say if you have an oil drip, you know you still have oil. It's only when it's dry under the car that you should worry.
You have a little. That's exactly right.
correct.
You have
Still
to be
got some
very,
left in there.
very sensitized to that. And then you need to bear in mind that Packard invented the V12.
Yeah.
1918 they started and they built designed it, and that originally came out as the Twin Six. And they basically married 2 6-cylinders together on a common driveline. But then they enhanced that, and you'll notice that the V12 here, different than on a Lincoln or on a Cadillac, is that they designed this to be much more slim because you have the intake manifold directly over the exhaust manifold. And you can see how the exhaust manifold is burned. They were porcelain. This is porcelain coated. The porcelain is just burned
all
off
sure.
over time. And you can have that restored, but that gets to be kind of fruitless, because if you drive the car, which we do, then you're going to burn it off again.
And this car, did you buy it in this condition, or have you done some work yourself?
For the most part, we've, as I mentioned earlier, the halogen lights that the previous owner out in California put in, we had to take that parallel 6-volt system out.
No,
and then,
12-volt system.
Yeah, it was a 12. He put
Yeah.
a parallel 6 with the existing 6-volt system to have 12 volts to run his
Yeah,
halogen
right,
headlights. So we had to take that out and then rebuild the headlights so that we're as it was when it was in the 34 original. So we did that. We had the carburetor rebuilt and then reinstalled that. And we just recently, we were at a show and we lost power.
Half
Half the power. And what had happened was we lost a coil. And so we had to get a coil, find somebody that would make the coil, because you just can't go down to AutoZone and pick up
No.
a coil. You
No,
know?
these are.
Have you ever tried it just to see the expression?
Oh yeah, they look at us like, what's a Packard?
What's a Packard?
Yeah, exactly. But these are special coils. They are epoxy filled. Yes, and so
Straight walled epoxy filled
and
coils.
you have to get the coils. And then there's a gentleman out in
Iowa.
actually, who builds these, and so we've become good friends with
'Cause
him,
they're-
and so he made some coils so we could get our car running again.
Yeah, they're
Now-
all encased, and along that line about difficulty of getting things, the headlights on these for the 12
Yeah.
are triple electrode bulbs, and
Okay.
General Electric built them. They stopped building them in like 52. Very, very difficult to get your hands on them because it's both beams in one bulb.
Okay.
And so it gets to be a bit of a challenge, and each bulb today, if you can find one, is around $250 a bulb.
But it's that, it's that hunt, right?
Oh, yeah.
That's what it
I
is.
mean,
That's right.
and if you have a car that's won the Zenith Award, I mean, again, it has to be right. I mean,
As best you can. Of course,
down
fortunately,
to every nut and screw.
we don't worry about turning the lights on very often.
There's no point.
No.
Try not to go that far.
Even high beam, the mosquitoes have a hard time finding.
Yeah. That's exactly right. Right.
But
Dave.
I mean, it's that love of the. I mean, I think sometimes it's that love of the chase. Yeah, I don't know. Would you ever want to buy a car that was just 100% done and ready to go?
This is as close as we can get to
Yeah,
it
this-
at this
yeah.
point.
Right.
Sometimes we can find others,
fine.
but it's a matter of what you get and how current. Because the last time this car was restored was in 1982.
Which is hard to believe because it is. I mean, it looks like it came out of the showroom floor today.
Well, you know why? That's because most of the nights I'm eating soup and crackers because Deb's out here polishing
polishing
the
it.
car.
I love chrome. So the more chrome a car has, the better off it is for me.
All right, well, let's move down here to the interior. I love the rear view mirrors here tied to the
notice
tire.
they got bevel glass on the rear.
Yeah,
views.
I did notice that.
Yeah, the bevel glass rear view mirrors are kind of cool.
Okay, so we got suicide doors.
Yeah.
You've also got a step light
Oh yes,
for getting those so you wouldn't stumble. You got really wide running boards.
Yeah.
Okay, so the interior. What is the what's the seat? What kind of a cloth?
It's a English broadcloth.
Yeah,
Laid
it's
law.
laidlaw broadcloth wool.
Wool.
Is the
Okay.
entire interior.
Now we were talking a little bit earlier about all the woodwork, quote unquote, in the car, with rare exceptions. So, tell us this little story about Packard and the go between metal looking or metal
Yes.
And wood.
wood and
They
wood.
couldn't, the powers to be at Packard in the day couldn't come to agreement on whether they should use wood or this is a metal finished like wood. So what they agreed to is that the odd years they'd have wood, and in the even years, which is the 34, it's metal.
And these are hand painted wood trim here. But in the back,
Back, you've got your ashtrays, your sconces around the lights. They are actual wood.
here we can, here let me slide in here a minute.
Yeah.
We can make those actually work if I just do a couple things.
You know, just
Now you have your
the
lights.
style and the look of
Yeah.
these is exquisite. I mean, it just sort of says luxury.
Yeah.
It does. So look
and
at just
fresh,
from here.
fresh flowers for your guests in the back.
Yeah, you got
And,
your
and
sconces.
those are, I'm told, real fresh
Real
flowers.
fresh flowers, absolutely.
just for you and Rob today. That's all.
Thank
there
you,
is to it.
thank you. Now, carpet in here, would this have been original? So this darker
Well-
color carpet?
Yeah, it would be a brown color.
Yeah, dark
Okay.
brown.
Yep.
Which is obviously this was restored because it's quite current as it is, and this car
steering wheel.
has their options were where you get different things on it. This car actually came with a Motorola radio.
That's what the center gauge is.
That's what the center
That's
gauge
your
is. It says
drive,
Motorola
your
on
tuner
it.
for your radio.
Right.
I was looking at that going, okay, Motorola, what in the world is that? But that's the radio,
The
okay.
radio.
That's
Yeah.
the radio. And there's a big difference as you go and look at the different Packard models, the way all the fit and trim. And of course, in this car, you have additional controls. While you're driving this car, you can adjust the stiffness of the ride, and you can also adjust the stiffness of the brakes.
So if you got a
while
bad
you're
leg
driving.
and you can't
So
put enough pressure
for
on
ladies,
it, you can adjust that
Really?
knob to get more braking power without as much emphasis
Effort.
So
with your
guys
foot
with
on.
heavy foot, more muscle,
Right.
you can lighten up on the brakes. For the ladies, you strengthen the brakes so you can adjust that automatically. And of course, this is one of the years near the end where it has tilt out front windshield as well.
Actually, it was the last year.
Yeah.
34 was the last year that they did the
Last
Air
push out.
conditioning along with the vents
out
on the
windshield.
front, the cowl, of course, and then the side vents.
Now, what were the two glove compartments? Say one on
Yes,
either
one
side?
on each side. That's right. This has been enhanced for safety. It does have blinkers that were put on just for safety. And for this radio, where do you think the antenna was for the radio?
Well, it's not on the top. I'm not sure. Was it built into the window?
Well, you were pretty close. Now that would have been a much later option. So
up underneath your headliner, you have padding, and there's chicken wire up there.
Right.
So that was your antenna.
they had it wired to the,
Connected to the chicken wire. And then there was more padding, and then of course the top up here has your what was leather in the day, but now it's vinyl.
yeah.
So the radio really did a good job with the farm report.
Absolutely, every time. That's right.
Yeah. Oh, man.
Some of them, like the ones that don't have a hard top, maybe be a convertible or a rag top, they would put runners underneath the board, the running
Yeah,
boards.
the roadsters, convertibles,
Roadsters.
they put two big antennas that are
Along
underneath
the
the
running
running
boards.
board.
Okay.
Which hung down a bit.
How many gears was the transmission?
It's 3 on the floor with 1 reverse.
Okay.
Yeah, 3-speed transmission. No overdrive in this. The 41 we had overdrive.
Okay.
Later model, of course.
All right, well, let's walk around to the back.
Of course, all of the wheels have the Packard 12 information on it, and this is silver inlaid in glass, cloisonné, and that's a very
For all the
jewelristic-
hubcaps
all the
and-
hubcaps, and then the
So that's actually silver.
oh yeah,
I've always liked those hubcaps. I think they look fantastic.
yeah, that's
Yeah,
cloisonné.
the key to it is don't ever drop one.
Oh, no
When you
kidding.
pop the cap off, don't drop it.
Yeah.
Now, tail lights. Would they've had the blue dot in the middle?
Yeah, that's
That's
the
another-
V12
V12.
insignia. And at night it looks like pink blue. It's a pinky kind of color that comes out.
Okay.
But that was another thing they put on to the Packard. And of course, this is your fold-down luggage rack that
Yep.
you would put your trunk,
You have
travel
a
trunk
on there.
on.
It also has a bumper, so that if your trunk is yeah, they don't run into your trunk. You got a bumper for your trunk.
Yeah, that's for when your wife's driving and she backs up too far.
But we also have a little trunk in here.
Right.
So there is storage right there.
Have our junk in there right now, but
For the show, you got to carry it somewhere.
Well, yeah. But that's nice to have that little extra storage if you got that little bit of space. Oh, man, that's saying out. And here are
Yep.
the harmonizers. Right here.
Harmonizers back in again.
Oh, man.
Absolutely.
It's so fascinating to see all the
attention to detail, and every little nook and cranny had style to it. It wasn't just a straight bumper. You had flare and curve, and
It's
just
auto
more.
art, car art.
Oh, definitely it is.
Yeah.
And just like Bill's car over there or Winston's Packard down there, Packard really had, as the Rolls Royce next to us, beautiful design. They had artists doing the work. And we just enjoy a car that's really something to look forward to.
All right, let's go back up here for a minute. All right, so a couple of final questions. I mean, this is a stunning car, Zenith quality level, and just, I mean, it's just beautiful to look at, right? First question is, what is one of your favorite memories in this car, Deb?
Well, I guess when we first got it, we picked it up and we had our restoration shop, Man's Restoration in Festus, Missouri, pick it up, go through it, make sure it was functionally operational. We picked it up on the 30th of June, drove it to Auburn, Indiana for its first show, and I had it for like 24 to 36 hours and showed and got its first award, junior award for AACA. So that was the most fun part because I had hardly had it, and all that I just polished and everything. I didn't know much about it, and so that was the most fun part that I had with it.
All right.
And
Right.
I'm with her on it because once that happened, I knew I didn't have to worry about returning the car because it wasn't going to justify an award.
Okay.
So it worked out very well.
All right. Now, what got you both into cars?
Well, my father had old cars, so I grew up with old cars. And so as life goes on and we had our careers, when he passed away, I couldn't maintain any of his cars. So when I turned 65, my husband asked me what I wanted for a 65th birthday present. So I said, I'd like to get an old car. I love the flair, the style, the chrome. They're beautiful pieces of art, so I want to get an old car. And so that's what we got. So then we said, well, what do you want to get? And I said, well, my grandfather had a Duesenberg, but I don't have the money for that. My two uncles, one had a Packard, one had a Pierce Arrow. And between the two marks, Pierce Arrow wasn't in business as long as Packard, so I figured, well, there'd be more parts available for a Packard. So we focused in on Packards. And in 2019. We drove 3,500 miles to find the first one.
That was the 41 120 convertible.
120. Yeah.
And what got you into cars?
Right after I got married, and then 20-some years later, because next year we'll celebrate our 50th wedding anniversary.
Congratulations.
Yes.
So I figured I've got the right compliant plan.
Yeah. Anyone that can put up with him for 50 years deserves whatever she wants. With friends like me, you don't need anyone else.
Oh no, you're a good man.
Yeah.
All right. So, man, that's just so fascinating. So now we know why you're getting into Packards.
Yes.
And a little bit about the history behind why you got into cars. But it's been fun to run into you again here today.
Oh, thanks for
and
coming
I
by.
did not know you would be here, but we're glad that you were in another stunning Packard.
Well, we appreciate both you and Rob being here to
Yes.
let us elaborate on how it kept us from a divorce and how we both were able to be here at the same day. But thank you for coming by and listening to our story.
Well, that's what we like to get, is that story behind it. It's fun to hear all those little history bits, from the chicken antenna wire,
Yes.
to the harmonizers in the bumper that people just don't always know.
And,
Right,
and
that's
the,
right.
the antique car collecting hobby is such a good hobby for a husband and wife team, because it's something we can both do together, we both enjoy, and you meet such wonderful people.
Right?
Yeah,
Right.
It's a great community. And on that note, thanks for spending your time with us today.
Thank
we sure
you, Nathan.
appreciate
We
it.
appreciate it, Guy. We'll look forward to seeing you again soon.
Yeah, that's right. And thanks for watching.